from the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange, and I'll be moderating this discussion. Maybe we can start with a few housekeeping rules. May we all kindly ensure that we mute our mics. And if you've got any questions that you feel like they've not been addressed in this discussion, may you kindly type them in the chat box, and then we'll address them at the end of the discussion when we have our question and answer segment. Once again, allow me to welcome you all to this discussion. I'm going to start by giving a brief background about the Global Money Week. The Global Money Week has been running since Monday. Global Money Week is an annual global awareness raising campaign on the importance of ensuring that young people from an early age are financially aware and are gradually acquiring the knowledge, skills, attitudes, and behaviors necessary to make sound financial decisions and ultimately achieve financial well-being and financial resilience. The 10th Global Money Week has been running from Monday and is ending on the 27th of March. This year's theme has been Build Your Future and Be Smart About Money. So as part of the efforts by the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange to simplify the capital markets and to increase financial inclusion, we have organized this discussion. So allow me to start by introducing our panelists. But before I introduce the panelists, I would like to request all the panelists to kindly unmute their mics and switch on their cameras so that they can greet the audience. Thank you very much. So thank you very much, Robert. Thank you very much, Batanai, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandra.
Okay, allow me to now move on to giving a brief bio about our panelists. On our panelists, we've got Simbi Musa. Simbi is the head of custodial services at CBZ Bank. She has 12 years professional experience in the capital markets ecosystem, having started off her career in stockbroking, moving to research and analysis, fund management, and now custodial services. Simbi holds an MBA in strategic management and a Bachelor of Science honors degree in finance from the National University of Science and Technology. Thank you very much, Simbi, for joining us today.
I know. I can just. Thank you so much, Sandra.
Allow me to now introduce Batanai. Batanai Matsika is the head of research at Morgan & Company. Batanai has more than 10 years experience in equities research and mainstream investment banking in sub-Saharan Africa, including South Africa. He has worked for local and regional finance and investment banking houses, including Imara Africa Securities, Sanlam, Banco, Portuguese de Investimento, BPI, and Akribos Capital. Batanai was ranked number 2 in Euromoney Sub-Saharan Africa for food and agriculture analyst research polls in 2014 while at BPI. Batanai holds an honors degree in business studies, that is banking and finance, and a postgraduate certificate in treasury management from the University of Zimbabwe. Batanai is a regular columnist for the Business Times and has appeared on the TV shows, including CNBC Africa, Business Day TV, and China Global Television Network, CGTN. Thank you so much, Batanai, for joining us. Allow me now to move on to Robert Baiwan. Robert Baiwan is the head of the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange markets. Robert is responsible for the VFEX primary and secondary markets, which comprises of new and existing listings, project development, market data, trading, and operations. Robert holds a BSc in Applied Accounting from Oxford Brookes University, UK, and is a fellow of the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants and Public Accountants, and a member of the Auditors Board of Zimbabwe. Robert has over 15 years of experience in the capital markets and insurance. Prior to this appointment, Robert was the head of trading and surveillance for the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. Thank you so much, Robert, for joining us today. Now we're going to move on to our panel discussion. Allow me to start with Simbi. Simbi, what is the role of a custodian in trading on VFEX?
Thank you so much, Sandra. As custodians, we are basically responsible for safeguarding and safekeeping of client assets, as well as processing of transactions. So I'll unpack a bit more in terms of the latter end of processing of transactions. We've got three main functions that we perform. That is affirmation of trades. On T+1, we rigorously check if there's for funding on the buying party, and then accuracy of deal notes against settlement reports. And then there's also the settlement of trades part. We pay out sell proceeds to clients and process payments from client accounts for the purchase trades. But lastly, but not least, we also facilitate account openings for clients on the VFEX. So we are pretty much your go-to contact point when you want to open accounts on the VFEX as well. In a nutshell, that's pretty much the role that we play as custodians on the VFEX.
Thank you so much, Simbi, for that in-depth explanation. Maybe as a follow-up to that question, you did mention that you open accounts. Are there any fees that you charge on account opening or maintaining of those accounts?
It's absolutely free, Sandra. You just have to submit your KYC documentation, and we do that for no charge at all. And in terms of maintaining the accounts, they're absolutely free of charge as well. So it's quite a very palatable process in terms of your pocket.
All right. Maybe you can just explain the requirements that are required to open this CSD account.
Okay, your CSD account is pretty much your wallet, which holds your securities. So what we need is you fill in forms, the CSD account opening forms, and they have to be accompanied by your national ID, as well as proof of residence, as simple as that.
Thank you so much, Simbi, for that explanation. Allow me to move to Batanai. Batanai, may you kindly explain to us the role that is played by a stockbroker when trading on VFEX? Sorry, Batanai, I think you're on mute. We cannot hear you. Batanai, we cannot hear what you're saying. Okay, maybe whilst Batanai is sorting out his microphone, maybe I can move on to Robert.
Thank you, Sandra. Allow me just to answer my bandwidth is not that good, therefore I'm not putting out the video.
Okay, that's fine.
Sandra, can you hear me?
Yes, I can now hear you, but tonight. Okay, maybe before we go to Robert, Batanai, can you explain the role of a stockbroker when trading on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange?
Okay, so our role as brokers is straightforward, which means that we do trade execution, which means that we are sort of a middleman between the investor and the exchange. Which means that any investor, retail or institutional, they have to come through brokers in terms of executing the actual trades, that is buying and selling of shares on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange. So that's our primary role, but also we have played the role of sort of advisory role in the sense that we provide research in the underlying assets or equities that are listed on a particular exchange, which means that investors that seek to gain exposure actually have access to our opinions or our insights on various stocks, which is why, of course, brokers are concerned with stock recommendations, whether one should buy, should sell, or hold. We also do a lot of valuations as well, just to provide guidance to investors on the investable assets. But also, in addition to research and trade execution, we also, in some cases, provide custodial services at the same time. So really, those are the three main areas or roles that we play as brokers on the VFEX.
All right, thank you so much, Batanai, for that explanation. Maybe as follow-up question to what you said, what has been your experience so far as a stockbroker with trading on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange? What would you say is working and what would you say can be improved?
Okay, so you find that, the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange is sort of an exciting market from the fact that, it allows you to trade in US dollars. So we saw a lot of excitement, especially from institutional investors when, it was actually launched. And even from retail investors. So there was a lot of interest in the market, a lot of inquiries around how to gain exposure and things like that. But from what we are seeing, given that it's also new, and there are a few listings, of course, the depth is not as rich as the Zimbabwe Stock Exchange. But of course, we feel that there's a lot of room for growth in terms of new listings to come through, especially on the mining side. I also understand that the pipeline is quite encouraging in terms of prospective listings on the VFEX. So of course, over time we expect improvements in terms of depth and liquidity as we go. But what we can say is that there's a lot of interest that's building, and of course there's excitement around amongst institutional and retail investors. Yeah.
All right, thank you for that, Batanai. Allow me to move to Robert. Robert, as we have heard that there's the custodial that comes into play, executes the trade on behalf of the client. Maybe, Robert, you can explain to us the role that VFEX plays when it comes to trading on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange.
Okay, thank you, Sandra. You realize that for brokers to be able to put the trades through the exchange, which would have been received from the investors, they need to have a platform. Therefore, therefore, the stock exchange main role when it comes to trading is basically to provide a platform where an electronic platform where orders for investors are put through and are able to trade on VFEX. Secondly, in terms of trading, we do have rules which regulate how brokers are supposed to conduct themselves when they are engaging with investors. So we provide regulations that help in making sure that there's transparency, there's orderly, there's no manipulation in terms of how trading takes place on VFEX. But basically, to move slightly away from the trading role, we also play another important role, which is the main role in terms of providing a platform where companies can come and raise money to enhance their operations. You can also talk about provision of information. Investors, when they are trying to come to the market for the purposes of trading, they need to be equipped with information which helps them in decision making. Therefore, the VFEX provides information that help in terms of which counter to invest, the trend which is happening on the share prices. So all that information can easily be available on the VFEX website for the purposes of people making an investment decision.
Okay.
Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you very much, Robert, for that explanation. Maybe just as a follow-up, you might have answered this question a little bit, but maybe you need to go into further details. How transparent is trading on VFEX, and are there any measures that you have put in place to supervise trading?
Okay. I think the most important piece of legislation is obviously the membership rules and the trading rules. The membership rules guide the conduct of our members when they are interacting with the public. Secondly, it also gives information in terms of what skills they need to have in terms of them conducting this particular role. Therefore, the exchange is transparent when it comes to the rules, but the trading rules then guides in terms of investors giving, say, a limit and saying, I want to buy this stock at this particular price. So the brokers are mandated to follow the guidelines which are prescribed in the trading rules to ensure that they comply with the instructions which they are given by the investors. But more importantly as well is that we do have the Securities and Exchange Act, which is the main legislation which guides all key market operators in terms of how they are supposed to conduct themselves. So we look at ourselves from a position where our members have to follow the principal legislations which guide all market intermediaries on how they're supposed to conduct themselves. So for trading purposes, there are other parameters that are used by the market to be able to make sure that there's transparency. The matching engine itself is based on what we call an anonymous basis. When you put in your order, no one knows except the exchange and people within the settlement cycle who has put the order in the system. So you don't, when the order comes in the system, no one knows who is trading what in the market. Therefore, it helps when it comes to the issues to do with price discovery. So it is an important part which is embedded in the automated trading system.
All right, thank you very much for that. What are some of the market metrics that help in tracking performance of the market?
So if you look at market metrics, I think the basic one that everyone else is aware of are what we call the indices. You realize on the VFX, we currently have one index which tracks the overall movement of all the companies companies which are listed on the market. But in most markets, the index is one of the important measures which measures how performance is done on any exchange. You can also have metrics like your market capitalization. Market capitalization was simply referring to the value of a company at any point. And this value is calculated based on the shares in issue times the share price of that particular company on that particular day. So for VFX, for example, when we say what is the market capitalization of VFEX, it is an aggregation of all the companies that are listed, then to come up with a valuation for VFX. But for a single company, you are simply taking the shares in issue times share price. But you can also have another matrix, which is your value of shares traded at any particular point. So the value of shares speaks to the turnover, which is on that particular exchange, which is the value of shares traded on a particular day. If you can also talk about the volume. A volume also speaks to the number of shares that would have been traded on a particular day, or if you are looking at a specific period, say a range of periods, you can then say is the number of shares that would have been traded over a specified period of time. So in a nutshell, those are the basics that you can use for market performance. But obviously for analysts, they use different metrics, which they can also use to value the exchange. People can use your PE ratios, your earnings per share ratio, EPS ratios. So those are some of the metrics which can be used to measure the performance of the market.
Thank you so much, Robert, for that detailed explanation. Allow me to go back to Simbi. Simbi, so if I sell my holdings on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange, will I get my USD? And is the money that I get from the exchange subject to any surrender requirements?
Thanks, Sandra. The VFX is USD based. So if you sell your shares on VFX, you are definitely going to get or to receive your proceeds in US dollar form. So they will be transferred into your FCA account. Investments have been excluded from any surrender entitlement, so there is no that doesn't apply. So you will get your proceeds net of settlement charges, which are basically your bank charges or transfer charges, nothing else.
Okay, thank you so much, Simbiso, for that. Maybe, Batanai, can you just tell us what is the minimum amount that one can invest on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange?
Okay. So thanks for that question. I think I can say that there is no hard rule as to the minimum amount that you can start with, but generally you find that brokers set their own sort of minimum amounts depending on their cost structure and how they want to deal with admin issues. So for example, speaking for Morgan & Co, we have a minimum amount of 1,000 US dollars, which means that's the starting amount to say that if you want to start trading with us, you can just come up with the 1,000 US dollars. But of course, it really depends with your brokers. Some would take more than that as their own minimums, and some probably something below that. So there's no hard rule on the minimum amounts. But of course, it makes sense then to come up with a sizable amount from a returns point of view to say that you could start with something that's sizable so that you could get meaningful returns on the market. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much for that. Robert, maybe some of the investors might have noticed that what the trades that have been happening on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange. So my question to you would be, what measures have been put in place by VFEX to improve the liquidity on the market?
Thank you, Sandra. I think we are having one of the panelists, which we've been working closely with custodians to make the process very simple in terms of account opening. And we are happy to say the discussions that we have had with some custodians, including CBZ, are really aimed at trying to lessen the process, making the people understand what we are trying to achieve, and also making sure that the process also is very simple and easier. So we are happy with the progress that we have made with CBZ and some custodians in the process. Secondly, what we have been trying to do is to put through what we call market making. Market making, we are trying to encourage brokers to put trades. They have to find a mechanism where they put trades both on the buy and on the selling side. Obviously, they will get a higher spread when they do that through a facility called the market making. So we have sent out a proposal currently to the market for them to indicate their appetite, whether they would want to form part and parcel of this process. It's a new concept, and we are, as a market, I think the people are still trying to digest how they can marry the two in terms of the securities and the cash side. This is USD, and people, once you say you want to undertake the market making agreement, you have to then to be able to abide by the rules. So we are hoping that by the close of the RFP, we should get sufficient numbers to people who really want to market make on VFEX. But what we have also done is to try to broaden the scope of the participants that we currently have. So what we are doing at the moment is to liaise with other brokers from across markets, really sensitizing them about what we are trying to do as an exchange. And we believe that if we are successful in that area, all we want to do is to be able to increase the network in terms of the people that we can have participating on the exchange. And once that happens, it then results in improved liquidity. So those are some of the issues that we are also working on the mobile app. We are trying to mimic exactly what is happening on ZSC, but obviously this is USD. You want to satisfy yourself that you have covered every other aspect. That includes the integration and the possible challenges that can arise from people really be able to connect and then trade on VFEX. So we are working on so many fronts that we believe we should be able to get where we are in terms of moving, having an improved liquidity. But I should be happy to say that if you look at the performance from December, the average number of trades that we have recorded on the market has been improving. And thanks to the initiatives where we also engage directly with the market, directly with the investors, as we get feedback, we help to refine and improve the processes when it comes to trading on VFEX. So the communication and this initiative that we are doing is also helping in terms of conscientizing people and then coming to lessen the process in terms of account opening etc. Thanks so much for these initiatives.
All right, thank you very much. I think you've partly addressed my next question for you, Robert, which was when can we expect this mobile application? And maybe perhaps you can also shed a bit of light in terms of what can we expect from the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange, or rather, where do you see the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange in the next 5 years?
Okay, so to your first question in terms of the mobile app, we are putting together the ingredients in terms of understanding the processes and the things that we need to make sure that when people trade the custodians are able to settle the trades. The investors themselves are also able to trade, and the wallet balances are not going to be misplaced. You know how it is when you are starting a new process. So it's difficult to give a timeline, but we are hopeful that by end of second quarter we should have this second quarter we should have substantively moved in terms of really putting together all the ingredients that help us to be able to trade through the mobile app. Then to your point in terms of where we see the VFX, obviously the important part in terms of what we're doing is to increase the number of listings. Our target is to ensure that we at least have 10 listings by end of this year. Once that happens, you then see that the other challenges that we are having in terms of liquidity will be addressed. If you have noticed, what has been the challenge so far on the VFX is that if you're holding in USD asset, if you sell it, where are you going to put that money? If you're an institutional investor, where do you put that money? So we believe we work on improving the number of listings, and this includes the equities, the ETFs, the REITs, and most likely we are going to have the commodities exchange up and running this year. So that then helps in terms of bringing more liquidity onto the market. But we are also cognizant of the fact that we need to be able to meet the demands of the young population in terms of the digital assets. So we believe in the next 2 years, we should have a framework that helps us to address the need which is coming from a young population, which really speaks to issues to do with the digital currency. We are also looking at in terms of what is called an electricity exchange, where you can trade tokens of exchange. So within the next 3 years, we should come out, speak to the market as well in terms of these initiatives, where we are, what we intend to do, and how people can participate on that market. So in a nutshell, this is where we see ourselves within the next 5 years. We should be able to develop, especially the REITs. The REITs now, you can see the interest now is mostly on the ZSE, but we still gonna see the spillover effect in terms of what people also wanting to develop real estate investments in hard currency. So we think once the appetite is obviously increasing on that front. We are working on with some people to ensure that at least there is some interest, and there's some developing interest on that area. If you also look on the ETF space, we are talking to about 2 ETFs which are looking at bringing to the exchange, and that helps to the depth of that particular market. So in a nutshell, within 5 years, we're looking at increasing listings. We're looking at commodities exchange. We're looking at crypto assets. We're also looking at digital assets. I'm saying electricity exchange, which then sells electricity tokens through the exchange. So that's all from me, Shandra.
All right, thank you very much, Robert, for that. Maybe I will go back to Simbi. Simbi, can you just tell us your experience so far as a custodian? What is working and what can be improved? Simbi, can you hear me? Okay, whilst maybe Simbi is sorting out the challenges that she might be facing, maybe I would go to Batanai. Batanai, you did mention that when all trades are done through stockbrokers, all trades are effected through stockbrokers. So what fees, or rather, what do brokers get from this whole trading process? What are the fees that are involved or charged by stockbrokers?
Oh, thanks, Sandra. So as brokers, what we work for really for our services, we work for what is called the broker's commission. is currently, for buying, is currently 0.92%. It's also 0.92% for selling. So that is what we earn out of the trades that we execute. So I guess an important point is to highlight that this commission is standard throughout, the industry, which means that, if you approach a different broker, you will still be charged that 0.92%. But however, there are other costs associated with trading. Of course, there are issues to do with tax, levies as well. So if you then incorporate all that, the total charge there will be 1.6884% when you're buying. And then there's 2.4384% when you're selling. So all in, we're looking at something around 4.1268. That's for buying and selling. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Sorry, Sandra. Yeah, just in addition to that, if you look at the overall cost structure on VFEX, it has really been reduced to 2.140%. The one that Batanai said, it speaks more to the ZSC, which is 4.something%.
Thank you for that addition, Robert. Thank you very much. Hi, Simbi So.
Hi, Sandra.
Hi, thank you so much for coming back. Can you just tell us your experience as a custodian? What is working and what do you think can be done to improve how the exchange is currently operating?
Okay, thank you for that very important question. I totally agree with the sentiments that Batanai alluded to earlier on in terms of what can be improved in terms of depth and liquidity. So I won't touch much on that. I will touch a bit on the client side. The fact that we've just observed, since we've also been running with the clients' account openings, that our clients are still a bit hesitant. I think in their mind, this is USD and they do not want, maybe they still have trauma. They do not want to separate with their USD, or rather put it in the formal system, formal channels. So there's a bit of hesitation with regards to clients just getting the confidence to put their money on the VFX. So I think our call or our encouragement at the present moment is that the VFX is purely USD and the SIs do support that. So to a certain extent, or just the normal financial perspectives or decisions, they also relate on the VFX. If you have an extra money that you'd want to invest, please be confident you will get your monies paid, you will get your dividends in USD. So go ahead, open those FCA accounts and proceed to invest on the VFX. Upon consultation with your broker or with your research analyst, in the sense of now when making the financial decision. So if you have made that decision, please do go ahead. So I think there, in terms of improvement, we still have a long way to go in terms of just gaining confidence and understanding that the process is seamless, and you will not wake up and then maybe your US dollars, or you get paid in Zim dollars. We are paying out clients in US dollars, and clients are getting their dividends in US dollars.
Thank you very much, Simbi So, for that. And Thank you so much to all the panelists for taking part in this discussion. Allow me now to move on to our question and answer segment. So in this, if you've got any questions that you feel like they were not addressed during the question and during the panel discussion, may you kindly make use of the chat box, or alternatively, you may raise your hand and you'll be allowed to unmute your mic and ask the question. So let me just check our chat box if we've got any questions. We've got a question from Tabeth. Tabeth is saying that, is it possible to have 2 or more brokers? I'll give this one to Batanai. Is it possible that an investor can have 2 or more brokers?
Yeah. It's really up to the investor, because what you want is best execution as well as research. So you're pretty much allowed to deal with any broker out there. So you can have more than one broker. It's possible.
All right, thank you very much, Batanai. Tabeth, I hope you are answered. I see a hand there. There is Nkata Kudzanai. You may unmute your mic and ask your question.
Yes, hello. I heard the stockbrokers saying that the minimum that they have set, for example, is 1,000. So I'm saying, since it's a new thing that has been set, that they're trying to set up, isn't it that that cost, the minimum cost, is a little bit too high for the majority of our stakeholders, considering the salaries which people are getting in Zimbabwe? I think 1,000 is too much. Maybe they need to adjust a little bit. Maybe if they come up to have a minimum of at least $100, you will see many people participating in the VFEX. That's my thinking, that they need to adjust their fees. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, let me just try to answer that one. Yes, quite clearly, of course, it's a new initiative, but also note that currently we don't have the online trading platform for retail investors that Robert was talking about. So once that comes into play, definitely the minimum amounts would come down quite significantly, because you're taking advantage of technology and it's more efficient when you then use that online platform. But currently, like I said, it's really around brokers, whatever they get set as their minimums. But yes, going forward, we expect the coming of online platforms to actually help in terms of inclusion and also promoting access to the markets. Yeah.
But perhaps to emphasize what he's saying that this varies from one broker to the next broker. Therefore, the broker that you're going to engage do have different minimums. So it's not something that you ordinarily would say would prohibit you from trading. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Batanai. Thank you very much, Robert. I hope you answered, Nkata. And then the next question on our chat box is saying that our country is associated with policy inconsistency, and also we are heading towards elections. New policies are expected. As VFEX, are you guaranteeing investors their process in USD despite economic and policy changes? I think, Robert, you can assist us on that one. A question from Munashe.
All right, thank you, Munashe. I think guaranteeing perhaps would be too strong a word, but what we are sure is, in terms of the legislation that we are currently using, that we are operating under, because it's legislation, we are certain that if you trade on VFEX, you are going to receive your process in USD. And that is contained in specific legislation, and that legislation is SI 196 of 2020. Secondly, there is a specific exchange control provision, that RV 177 of 2020, which specifically talks to the issue to do with repatriation of proceeds after investment on VFEX. So in our view, we believe those pieces of legislation give us comfort to say, yes, when you invest on VFEX, you will receive your money in USD. We can't predict what will happen in the future, but all we know is the government's thrust when it comes to VFEX. They have big plans, which include setting up of the Offshore Financial Services Center. We have seen that there's been declaration that Victoria Falls as a city is now designated as a special economic zone. You have also seen the pronouncement in the Finance Act, which talks to the people really being in a position that they are forming the Offshore Financial Service Center. So with that trust which the government has in terms of making sure we do attract investment as a nation, I don't believe there's going to be change in terms of the direction which we are going as a nation. So I don't want to speak on their behalf, but I'm just talking about the trust which these people have when it comes to the initiatives which they are putting down to ensure that we also retain the confidence that this market requires, especially when it comes to portfolio investment.
Thank you very much, Robert, for addressing that. I hope Monalche, you are answered. There is also questions from Kululi. Kululi is saying, hey, I need a stockbroker. How much is the minimum for investing? I think Batanai had already addressed that question. I hope you are answered, Kululi. He also has another question. He's saying that, how do I start investing? How do I open an account? Another question directed to VFX. Are you looking forward to having easy platform to open investment accounts like how it's done on the ZSC? So I'll just allow Batanai to help us on summarizing how you can start trading on the VFX.
Okay, so currently on the VFX, the process is pretty much straightforward, whereby you just approach a broker and you go through the normal account opening process, which means that you fill in some forms to open a trading account with that broker, and then you also go through the normal KYC, which is quite key in terms of your ID, your proof of raise. And when that is done, of course, there's sort of a back office work that happens in terms of an allocation of a CSD number and the like. But it's a pretty much straightforward method. But also worth highlighting is that when you're trading on the VFX, you're then required to have a nostro or an FCA account, which is a bit different from the traditional ZSC way of doing things. Yeah.
All right, thank you
Sandra,
very much.
Maybe I can also come in there. In terms of accounts openings, like what Batanai alluded to, there's a need for an FCA account, there's need for a CSD account, and there's need for a trading account with the broker. So like from our end as custodians, we're facilitating the FCA account opening if you don't have one as yet, and we're also facilitating the CSD account opening. From there, there's a list of all the brokers that are there. You can then choose a broker of your choice to proceed to open a trading account. But basically, with regards to FCA account openings and CSD account openings, it takes a minimum of 24 hours if every documentation is in place to have your account opened. So within a day, you will be eligible to trade on the VFX.
Thank you very much, Simbi, for that addition, and thank you very much, Batanai. Mkhululi, I hope you have been answered. And we have a question from Kos. He's saying that he might have missed it, but are there any platforms that support people that are in diaspora to start participating on the VFX? I'll give this one to Robert.
Okay, I think currently the platform that is there is that they, in terms of their account opening, they contact their custodians and then open an account where they deposit the money into the settlement account, and from there they can then give an instruction to the broker to then come to the market and then execute.
All right, thank you. So if I'm hearing what you're saying that the process is more or less the same.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you very much for that. But tonight, Munashe is asking if you can do a research paper for VFX to remove the trust deficit.
Okay, so thanks for that comment. I think we sort of highlighted, the issues to do with concerns around, the economy and the macro environment. But of course, given the policy thrust, we expect, more confidence to be built over time. And I think, as market players, of course, we all have that role in terms of just trying to push the agenda and the like. So definitely, yeah, we're happy to do more research papers on VFX. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Batanai. I'm not seeing any other questions on the chat box. Perhaps, are there any other questions? If you've got a question, may you kindly raise your hand or quickly type it in the chat box before we move to the next. Okay, I see a question from Gata. You may go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to ask, I've heard, it should be Robert or Robert and I saying that we're expecting to have what you call it, a mobile app for us to be trading on. Are there any timelines when we can expect the launch of this mobile app?
Thank you, Kudzi. We are expecting to, we have started work, and part of the work was obviously to engage the custodians in terms of the mainframe. I think there is a general understanding currently in the market in terms of the model that we are using. We are using what is called a custodian model. So we are trying to simplify it to try to accommodate the mobile trading app. Therefore, our efforts, our engagements with the custodians is yielding positive results. If it continues on that path, we believe by end of this quarter, we should, by end of the second quarter, we should be somewhere in terms of giving the market something that they can use for the purposes of trading on VFEX. But currently to be a local solution. So yes, in terms of timeline, we are expecting end of second quarter, we should have come up with something which is solid, comprehensive, which we should be able to bring to the market.
All right, thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Robert, for that. I hope you are answered. I see Kululi has got his hand up. Kululi,
okay, thank you. Yes, I have a question. So since Victoria Falls Stock Exchange only having about 4 companies currently that are listed, are you looking forward to have more companies so that investors can have a variety? And also the other thing is that ever since Vic Falls Stock Exchange was introduced, it's been illiquid. So what sort of measures are you doing as a stock exchange to make sure that investors gain confidence to that to Vic Falls Stock Exchange?
Okay, thank you. I think in terms of obviously the efforts that we are doing, firstly, I think our efforts is concentrated more on getting listings, and to get listings, it's not an easy process. It's hard, but the interactions and discussions that we have had so far, I think we have never developed a strong pipeline that speaks to us coming to the open platform and say, our target is to increase the listings to 10 by end of the year. That speaks to the work that we are currently doing, and also speaks to the efforts which we are current and the responses that we are having to from the market. So we are confident. We are confident that by year end we should have about 10 listings on VFEX. And if you look at the time frame that this exchange is there, all we are saying is we are really bullish in terms of the outlook that we see on VFEX. I also talked about the measures that we've put to try to improve liquidity, which include working with the custodians. The custodians have been helping us in terms of making it much simpler and easier for people to come and participate, and we applaud them for that effort. Secondly, we talked about the issues to do with market making and said we've sent out a request for proposal to the market where we think the brokers can take advantage of whatever is happening and then participate. And once we have that, it means we are, as a market, will be able to improve the liquidity. Then I think lastly, I talked about the network that we are talking to in terms of people outside the Zimbabwe jurisdiction, to conscientize them about what we are currently doing as a way of stimulating the activity on the market. So in a nutshell, those are the initiatives which we are taking to, one, increase liquidity, and also to try to increase the global reach of Victoria Falls. But you are confident we should have a minimum of 10 by end of year, 10 listings by end of year. Thanks, Sandra.
Thank you so much, Robert, for that. I hope you are answered. I see there are now questions in our chat box. Kululi is asking if the $1,000 that was mentioned by Batanai, does it apply to certain brokers, or it's a regulation by the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange?
No, as indicated, there's no hard rule. What I was just highlighting was to say that brokers set their own amounts depending on things such as the focus or target market, and also their own admin costs. So it could be significantly less than 1,000 if you deal with a different broker. But of course, given the scope of online trading platforms, definitely it would also come down as well. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Batanai, for that. I hope you answered Mkhululi. Kos is asking if miners can participate. Can miners participate? Maybe I'll just give this one to Simbi. So can miners open accounts with custodial banks?
Hi, Simbi. You're on mute. Okay. I'm not sure whether she got. Simbi, so did you get that? Okay. If you can hear me, I can attempt it. Obviously, miners can participate, but what needs to happen is they have to have a guardian who obviously is authorized to sign the papers on their behalf. They can participate, but through their guardians or parents.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Robert.
Thanks, Robert. Thank you, Robert. Sorry, I was having a technical challenge there. But yes, I can confirm that participation can be done through a legal guardian. So you can open an account on behalf, because what's largely important is the FCA account. So you can open an account on behalf of a minor as a legal guardian, and then you can invest on their behalf.
All right, thank you so much for that, Simbi. So, and thank you, Robert. I hope, because you are answered. Do you intend to engage? Do you intend to engage more young people to start investing on the VFEX? Do you have any investment clubs? Perhaps I'll allow Batanai to respond to that.
Okay, so yes, but what we've seen is that there's been a drive, across the capital markets generally and amongst players in the industry to sort of encourage the participation of young people, basically through educational campaigns. Of course, we've seen the Security and Exchange Commission of Zimbabwe. They've launched the Investment 101 handbook. And they've been doing a number of roadshows in schools and universities so that young people get an appreciation of the markets, and they can also start to participate. So yes, there are a lot of efforts, and even from a career point of view. As brokers, of course, we also do encourage young people to understand the profession, and we also run a number of competition, like the investment challenge competition that we run as Moving Core. So yes, there are a lot of incentives. In terms of the investment clubs, the manner in which it's being done currently is rather through groups where people interact, share ideas, but then invest in their own individual capacities. So yes, there's been a lot of financial literacy and engagement campaigns happening. Yeah.
But to add on that comment, I think he also talked about the career path to say what is within the capital market space. And for young guys, I think you can emulate the likes of Batanai, you can emulate the likes of Simbiso, Sandra, myself. So you have a range of paths that you can take. You can be accountants, you can be IT people, you can be research analysts, you can be economists. So they are pockets of career path that you can really follow from the capital markets perspective. So it's unlimited in terms of what you can do on the capital markets.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Robert and Batanai. And thank you to everyone who had their questions. I hope all your questions have been addressed. And thank you all for attending this discussion. And a special thank you to our panelists. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Simbi. So thank you, Batanai. Thank you so much for setting time from your busy schedules to attend this webinar. I'm not sure if any of our panelists have got any additions.
Sorry, there are some more questions on the chat box.
Okay, my apologies. I think I might have missed them. Let's see.
They're saying someone, Munash was asking whether we still have the Dubai Commodities Exchange deal on the table. What we are doing, perhaps just to give insight in terms of what we are doing, not to comment specifically on a transaction which is currently underway, but to say we have made significant progress with the Minerals and Marketing Corporation in terms of trying to put together a framework that we believe is going to result in the establishment of a commodities exchange. So yes, the route for the commodities exchange is fully on the table.
All right, thank you so much, Robert.
Then there's,
you may go ahead.
I'm saying there's another one. Perhaps you can also look at the one from Elliot.
Okay, Elliot is saying, will there perhaps be any need to employ VFX compliance officers in the near future as the stock exchange grows, or that role sits with an already existing office?
That goes without saying, Elliot. We will obviously, as the market develops, we will obviously look to fill some of the gaps which are created as a result of that expansion.
All right, thank you very much. I hope Munashe and Elliot have been answered. I'm not seeing any other questions on our chat box. I'll start.
I think can attempt the one from Kulul.
Okay. How about internships? I've been always interested to be a stock market analyst. Yeah, so a lot of brokerages or engage, trainees, usually, from the local universities. So during their attachment year, they can also come through. But yeah, we run a number of internships where you come in, you have exposure in key departments. So it's not just the analysis or research division. You also have access to the dealing as well, and also areas around operations as well. So there are a number of programs that we run as brokerages. Yeah.
All right, thank you for that, Vatanai. I hope Mkhululi, you have been answered. I'm not seeing any other questions. Maybe I'll just go around our panelists and see if they've got any further questions. I'll start with Simbi So.
Thanks, Sandra. Just to reiterate that investing on the VFX is easy and it's getting better and better. From our end as custodians, we are facilitating account openings. So within 24 hours, you can start trading on the VFX. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Simbi. So, Vatanai?
Okay, so from myself, I think overall the VFX really provides an attractive investment proposition for investors out there, especially retail investors, given that it sort of removes a key risk in investing, which is foreign exchange risk. So I think it's very key for investors to engage with market players. For example, brokers play a very critical role in terms of the advisory process. So if you need any information, if you just want to keep abreast in terms of what's happening, are there new products, new listings, I think it's key to maintain a relationship with your preferred broker. So as Morgan & Co, we remain quite committed in terms of the advisory role, in terms of our research, and we are happy to continue engaging everyone out there. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Vatanai. Robert?
As VFX, obviously, we are happy with the interaction with our panelists. We want to thank our partners really in coming on board to support a worth cause, which is investor education. Secondly, we are also excited about the prospects that we have as an institution, that we are bringing value. Our aim is to bring value to our stakeholders, and one of the most important stakeholders is the issuers. When we do that, we know that translates into other downstream benefits, and to our investors, we want to ensure that when you invest on the market, you are not disappointed. You are going to get the return commensurate with the risk that you have taken on the market. And we want to try by all means to ensure that all what we are trying to put together is to ensure that your investment is safe. So thank you so much. We want to excite the market and bring value to all our key stakeholders. Thank you.
Oh, my apologies, I was on mute. Thank you for that, Robert. And thank you once again to Simbi, Batanai, and Robert for setting time from their busy schedules to attend this discussion. And a special thank you to everyone that attended this discussion. I hope all your questions were addressed. I hope this was a fruitful discussion. And we sincerely hope to have more of these discussions in the coming future. And allow me to wish you all a great weekend ahead. Please do stay safe. But if you've got any further questions that you might have, do not hesitate to contact any one of our panelists. I see Simbi typed in the email address for their custodial services. You can also get in touch with Batanai. Batanai, you can also put the contact details in the chat box. You may also contact the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange. I'll type our contact details in the chat box. So our email address is info@vfex.exchange. You can get in touch with us on our social media platforms. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and we're on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So thank you very much. Do have a great weekend, and cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.